Before I begin, I'd just like to say, don't worry about the audio. It happens to my videos too, but it's usually just when I leave the camera on too long, the audio will desync with the video, and I have no idea why that is. It doesn't play back fine, but it's not much I can do about it except redo it, which I usually don't do. But I don't know. It's a very strange problem that if it plays normally in whatever you use to edit it, and then doesn't when it's uploaded, it's probably a compression problem, I would imagine. I don't know too much about videos and how they're made or work, but basically when you make the video from the program into a file and then upload the file, it's probably the making the video into a file that's the problem. So I don't know. That might be solved easily. You could probably look it up online, just put into Google, this and this and this happens to my video, what do I do to fix it? Will probably give you something useful. But I mean, it's fine as long as the audio works. I mean, it doesn't really have to sync up. It's not a pet peeve of mine, so it doesn't really bother me that much, but I know some people really hate that. But, you know, you do what you can do, and what you can't do, oh well. As I was watching your video, I couldn't help but think to myself, holy crap, she's actually reading the entire question on the video. It was quite interesting. I probably would have paraphrased, but I mean, I guess it does help to read the entire question so that other people know what you're answering. It's surprising to me how we start off stories or books or whatever we're writing. We start off with these very simple versions of these people that we want in our story. And it may be 2 or 3 or 4. And then as the story grows, we kind of add people to it. Parents, friends, other family members, people that are strangers to them but become an important part of the story. I find it very intriguing how my story has kind of ended up. I started out with 4 basic characters and ended up with parents for all 4 of them, 5 other random people, not to mention the people at the parties that my characters go to, who I haven't even really thought of yet, so it's become sort of its own universe as people start coming together. And I start off with 4 and I end up with like 15 or more. And you said that even the smallest character matters, and that is completely true, because the smallest interaction between a main character and sort of a just random stranger can mean the difference between a turning tide in the story or just the continuation of the flow. The same as you, I start my chapters as sort of scenes. I figure out what I want to write in them, then just kind of bunch together the one main event of that chapter, and then from there I'd add details and choose what I want to go first, what I want to come last. But I do title my chapters because I want the people that are reading to anticipate what's coming next. In some stories you don't want that to happen because the smooth flow of things from one chapter to the next just goes naturally. But for me, I kind of want them to see what the chapter's about and where it's going through the title, so that as it's going they can be like, oh yeah, that's how it ties into what this chapter's about. And because my story isn't linear, it jumps around a little bit between past and present, as well as between different characters, I want people to know, like, who the chapter is going to be about and what the chapter is going to be about. I have written a lot of stuff down in a book just so that I have it available, and usually I'll use blank spaces for names, dates, etc. And I know what's where because I'll have the year down exactly, what year I want it to happen in, but I won't have the month or the day, so I'll leave the month and the day blank and then finish with the year. And names of friends or strangers that they meet that I haven't quite come up with yet, those will be blank spaces. And I like those because you can fill it with anything at all, as long as it makes sense, of course. But I was extraordinarily surprised at how much research was needed to actually like pin down dates and times of stuff happening around time where my character is thinking or where my character actually is. And it's like, wow, I can't believe how much work this is going into this and looking at this. So it's just like, holy crap, that's a lot of stuff to do for this one little section. But I like it. It makes it more real. I liked your point about a book having a point, that it needs to get something across. But I think that the book doesn't need to revolve around the point. I think that sometimes if you just write a book, sometimes a point will just come up and it'll be the point of the book. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you have the point that you want to get across and you're writing the book to prove the point. It's just that you write the book and it proves a point. It doesn't necessarily have to be a point that you've predetermined. I do have blueprints that I've done for the mansion that my characters are in the majority of my book. And simple stuff, really. It's just basic designs of what I want the rooms to look like. I did scan all of these and put them on the computer so that I could enhance them a little bit. That's the entire thing. Lots of numbers there because I actually measured everything out and then scaled it down so I could do these. This is sort of what it looks like. I know I'm terrible at drawing, but it kind of it helps because it gives me something to look at when I want to describe it. And getting a blueprint down allows me to figure out where things are and how far away things are. That's my list of how many feet each things are. And so I have that kind of sitting here waiting and ready. I am just finished with the first floor out of 2 floors. And they have a basement, so I guess I can do a blueprint of the basement or something. Having that available to me allows me to picture the room as the character sees it. Like, there's a tapestry in the lounge, but there's also like 3 different chairs, a table, more chairs, and a bunch of bookshelves. But if I'm that character, what am I going to focus on? So having everything in its place in the room, in the blueprint, helps me determine what my character sees and pays attention to. I lost my list of stuff I was going to talk about. I got it back. Okay. One thing I hadn't thought about, though, is like the texture of stuff, and more specifically the smell. When you brought that up in your video, I was like, wow, I should actually really think about this. Like, the smells that the characters are smelling is important because it's new to them, it's foreign. So how the character reacts to the smell of a place is as important as the sight and the sounds and what they think of it, their perception of it. So I thought that that was a really good kind of extra thing I could add in there that will help kind of bring it to life. I've done extensive character sheets that encompass the character's full name, their parents' names, what the parents did, when they were born, and other dates related to stuff that happened to them. And I think it's a good idea that I do that 10-thing list, giving them something that they're aiming for or want, and then what's holding them back from that. It will definitely be interesting to find out kind of what I come up with, because I've given them like one major thing that they want, and then the one thing that's holding them back is this one person. I think that it's important to not leave people guessing. Something like how somebody died might not be as important, but it can play a big role in how people perceive that death and how people perceive the characters should be reacting to it. So if you actually fill in all of the detail, there is no guessing, there's an understanding, and the reader won't be kind of confused about why the story is going in this certain direction. When it could have been going in a different one. So filling in all the details are important. One part of the story that I think can go kind of unexplained is endings. Cliffhangers, for example, are a good example of that. They just kind of leave it up to the reader what happens, and that's what my story is going to do. It's going to end with something specific, but what happens after that is kind of up to them. I like your idea of writing something every day, no matter how simple or small it is. It would get everything kind of just out there on paper, that I wouldn't have to remember everything. And it's also important because sometimes when you think of something new that could happen, if you write it down, then you have it and you won't forget it again. Where it goes in the story doesn't really matter. It's just that it's there for you to use, and so you have something new every day that comes up, and depending on your mood on the day, things may change even more. So it could give a little twist to the story that you previously didn't think. So I think that I'll definitely start doing that. And it's not that I don't see myself needing to read, it's just that after Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, I've read about, I think it's 10 out of the 12 books. And after that, I went to college, and it was all required reading, and that really turned me off to reading. It's just, it wore me out. I didn't like many of the books that I had to read, and I did a lot of essay writing, so that kind of didn't help either. I had to do writing about the reading. But I do think that it is important to read, because it gives you kind of a new view on things. Different writers have different styles, and if you like the style, you might incorporate it into your own writing. I think a lot of what I write is based off of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. The character switches, then being broken up in the beginning, and then but together with different perspectives for different chapters when they're together. But I haven't really found anything that's as good as that. The Sword of Truth series was recommended to me by a friend, but I spend so much time online that kind of would hamper reading. What I like to do when I read is I like to just sit down and read it all in one go if I can. I don't like shifting between nights or reading and doing something and reading again, because it kind of breaks it up, and so you might not remember some details that are important from before. I will eventually, I'm sure, find a point in time where I will be willing to sit down and read an entire book, even in segments if I have to. But I do think it is important to read. It gives you more of a sense of vocabulary, it gives you more of a sense of what you like and what you don't like, and so it can influence your writing. And you may have a point that not reading is actually making it so that I'm not motivated to write, because I don't have anything interesting coming in that I can put out. Thank you for answering the questions. It will definitely help me. I do like different perspectives on things, like some people write down the history of their character, some people don't. Some people write down a little bit of it, some people write down only what matters, some people write down only what doesn't matter. So, I mean, I like gathering information. I love seeing different people's viewpoints on things and how they perceive things. And so I thank you for your response. I'll be in contact